Both quarterbacks in their latest mocks, Burrow at 1, 2 at 5. But here's where it gets interesting. Mel, of course, has Herbert going 6 to the Chargers and Jordan Love 23 to the Pats. Weemont McShay has Jordan Love going 6 to the Chargers and Justin Herbert at 9 to the Jags. In other words, what you can glean from that is both Mel Kiper Jr. and Todd McShay are protecting their investments. Mel, but from a quarterback perspective only, what's the biggest difference you see here between Jordan Love and Justin Herbert?
First of all, I did an updated mock 3.5 today, and I have Justin Herbert going 6 to the Chargers, and I have Jordan Love going 12 to the Raiders, Trey. So a bit of an update there. But Todd's going to stick with what he has based on who he talks to, and that's that handful of teams that he talks to say Love, handful of teams I talk to say Herbert. We'll see who's right come April 23rd. But arm talent, they both have it. Justin Herbert, I thought, nailed the draft process. Late in the year, he was really good. Obviously, Combine, Pro Day, he's got the big-time arm. We know how intelligent he is. I think people now, are gravitating to him more from Senior Bowl week in Mobile, what happened down there when he was the best player on the field in practice, when Jordan Love was also there, best player on the field game day when Jordan Love was also there. So I'll stick to Justin Herbert going slightly ahead of Jordan Love come April 23rd.
Well, listen, if you look at everything Jordan Love has put together and the intangibles, he does check a lot of the boxes. You mentioned the smarts. He's going to be a doctor when his playing days are over. There are a lot of things to like. But the Jordan Love thing is interesting. And let's go to Dan here first, because Dan, obviously, he broke out not this past year, but the previous season. This year he struggled. 20 touchdowns or 21 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. But he had nine new starters on that Utah State offense. How much do you explain those interceptions with that as a qualifier?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. 17 interceptions. So if you track the 17 interceptions, 3 of them are on Hail Marys. 3 of them literally are balls that go off receivers' chests, pop up in the air and become interceptions, and 2 of them are just tipped balls right at the line of scrimmage by defensive linemen. So that's 8 of those 17 interceptions. And I'm aware that those are part of the position and they happen to everybody, but sometimes you go in ebbs and flows of those bad break type of interceptions. Now, listen, when you're talking about Jordan Love, he's the best natural thrower of the football in this draft. And I'll say it again, the best natural thrower of the football in the draft. He has the most amount of wow throws or wow plays when it comes to driven balls or arm angles or body angles in this draft as well. But there's 2 things. We've heard people kind of compare him to Patrick Mahomes, right? And I'm going to compare him to Patrick Mahomes in 2 different ways. Number 1, he needs to be on the Patrick Mahomes plan, meaning someone has to draft him and absolutely sit him behind a very smart and accomplished veteran that he could just learn from. Now, number 2, the difference between his play and Mahomes's is Patrick Mahomes has a recess style of play and Jordan Love has a reckless style of play. And if you can coach him up to be more recessy, where it's broken plays and again those arm angles come into play, then you got a really special player. But if he doesn't get some of his bad habits out and he stays reckless with the football, then you're going to continue to see some poor decisions and turnovers.
Dan, I'm glad you brought that up, and let's continue that conversation with Louis, because Louis, we talked about this when Mahomes was drafted by the Chiefs. You immediately lit up because you knew he was going to the perfect scenario in how Andy Reid was going to coach Patrick Mahomes, and we've seen the results over the last 2 seasons. For both of these quarterbacks, based on who they are, because Justin Herbert is not that natural outspoken leader. He is very introverted. In fact, so much so his coaching staff bought him a book that says quiet, the power, silence, the power of being quiet in a world that won't stop talking. How important will both of these systems be to these quarterbacks where they go?
Oh, they will make all the difference in the world, Trey. And it'll be even more important that everyone in the organizations that take both of these guys are in lockstep and that they're in unison and that there is no division as far as, one faction wanted one player, one faction wanted another. They need to all be in lockstep because that's what you had in Kansas City. You had from ownership to the general manager to the head coach to the quarterback coach. to the offensive coordinator, everybody wanted Pat Mahomes there. Everyone was like, this is the plan we're going to put in place in order to bring him along, and then we're just going to unleash him, and we're just going to let him go. And both of these guys need that for different reasons. Obviously, Justin Herbert needs to be with a coaching staff that's willing to accept the fact that maybe he's a little bit introverted, that his leadership style isn't going to be the same as, say, some of the more boisterous quarterbacks in our league, and they'll be fine with that, and that they'll be able to unlock, that big, powerful brain of his, because everybody raves about how smart he is. They will be able to unlock the physical traits that he has and put them to use within the context of their offense, unlike what he was able to have unlocked while he was at Oregon. It'll be important for that. For Jordan, it's going to be important that people understand exactly what it was that caused him to maybe underperform when he was at Utah State in his last year, as far as the things around him, and then what are the things that are his fault that he needs to work on, which in my view, look, his decision making and his field vision sometimes was just like, if I'm sitting there, again, from a defensive player perspective, I'm going, what in the world are you looking at? I mean, seriously, why are you throwing this football here when there's like no window to throw the football? So, long story short, it's going to be about their surroundings, no question about it. And when they get drafted that night, I'm going to tap you, Trey. I'm going to throw something at you and go, I'm going to either give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down as far as whether I think these guys are going to the situations that'll help them. That's going to be fun.
It is, and it's a big part of this and whether the success. Look what we've seen from Josh Rosen, who has just been from bad situation to bad situation, never been in a fit where it absolutely worked.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.